Pick up on this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Attack of the Underground. It's a collection of Attack of the Show guests who, well, you know what, they really don't fit into any easy category. They kind of lurk in the fringes of comedy and film and art and maybe, just maybe, the fringes of your heart. Think about that. Now, author Ben Mezrich came on the show to offer some gambling tips for those of us who tend to lose our shirts in Vegas. Now, I personally don't need any gambling tips. I just need to remember not to swallow strange pills. Author Ben Mezrich knows firsthand how a couple of geeky MIT kids could bring Vegas down to its knees. He's followed up bringing down the house with a brand new book, Busting Vegas, about a different group of kids breaking the old Sin City piggy bank. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Your last book, the Bringing Down the House.
Yeah.
Again, about MIT kids.
Group of 6 MIT kids who took Vegas for about $6 million with a card counting scheme.
Right. Not at gunpoint.
Not at gunpoint. All legal. You can't get arrested for it, but they were playing blackjack, and they basically used a team to spread out across the casino and hit every table at once. And it was basically card counting, which is, you know, having a mathematical advantage at certain points in the deck.
Certainly not an MIT exclusive. Like, they didn't create
No.
the technique of
you know what?
card
It's been going on for about 20, 25 years. Was passed down from group of students to group of students. It's also been done at Caltech, at a lot of other technical colleges. And, I mean, a lot of people know how to card count, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
My local community college, not so much.
Maybe,
they,
maybe
they would teach you how to shank an opponent and take chips. But so I established now that you have a bit of an MIT/blackjack fetish.
I'm definitely, I've done the second book now.
Because you've now, you further pigeonholed yourself as the Vegas guy. Are you okay with that?
You know what? I never had any intention to be this Vegas expert. I didn't want to write another Bringing Down the House. But basically, I was at the 20th reunion at MIT, and this kid came down and sat next to me and started telling me these stories about how he'd beaten blackjack, not using card counting, that he had gone across Europe and taken on Monte Carlo.
Now, are you believing him at this point?
I know now it's true. Well, when he first started telling me it, I was pretty skeptical. But then I found out he was this kid known as the Darling of Las Vegas, the biggest high roller to ever play. For part of the 90s, he was playing with millions of dollars, had won about $7 million, and had then gone on the road basically all around the world.
And we're talking about Semyon Ducat.
That's his name, that's his real name, actually. In this book, in Busting Vegas, it's the real name. You can look him up. You could probably find him if you wanted to.
Google him. He's out there.
He's out there.
Don't worry.
Absolutely.
But what I do love about him, and granted, he didn't create these techniques, but it was a series of new techniques that weren't card counting.
Right.
They weren't hidden cameras or mirrors,
No.
smoke signals or flag sign language.
It's 3 techniques that involve manipulating cards in blackjack. So you can actually get a certain card to come out when you want it to. And it sounds like a magic act, but it's actually a fairly simple process.
David Blaine probably actually couldn't perform it.
Yeah, right. It's too easy for him.
It requires a bit of skill, and we'll get to that in a second. But like, even though the techniques are completely legal, they managed to get into a bit of trouble with it.
They did, because what happens is Vegas doesn't want anybody who can actually win.
Of course
If you win in Las Vegas, private eyes are assigned to you. They follow you around. They follow you back home. They get photos of you. You end up in this Facebook of unwanted people. And once that happens, you get kicked out, or sometimes worse.
It's funny, and you ended up in the Facebook as well.
I got kicked out of a couple
guilty by association,
casinos,
right?
just for hanging out with these guys. I've never been sort of beaten up. It's none of the Godfather things, but I definitely have been walked out of a casino.
So no Joe Pesci in a vice grip?
Not yet. Hopefully never.
It would be a good ending, though.
Yeah.
So in the book, you talk about their technique, which I think is great. You expose the 3. We're going to talk about one now, which is called Busting the Dealer.
This is just one technique, and it's actually the most powerful one. But basically, when you go to a blackjack table in Las Vegas, what happens is after the dealer shuffles the cards, he rolls them over like this, and he goes like this to the table. If you're sitting in the first base, which is where you're sitting,
right here,
you actually can see that bottom card.
Yeah, I can see it peeking out. I barely see a little bit of a queen.
You see a little bit of a queen.
I get it. Okay.
So now you know there's a queen at the bottom. What happens next is the dealer takes the cut card and he offers it to one of the players.
I would love to cut that deck.
You take it and you cut to exactly 50 or 60 cards from the bottom.
I understand now it sounds hard. Is that even feasible?
But I promise you, if you went home right now and practiced for 1 hour, you could get really close to cutting to 50 cards.
All right.
So what happens is you cut to 50
and we'll
cards.
Assume that's
Let's
50
pretend that that's 50 cards.
Cut cards in.
What the dealer then is going to do is he's going to take the front of the deck and he's going to move it to the back of the deck, right? Well, this card that you saw at the bottom, this queen, is now the 50th card at the bottom, right there.
And these guys practiced to the point where they were so confident they knew for sure.
Right.
When
you now know the
50th
50th card is a queen. The dealer's going to put this back and then put it back in the shoe and start dealing. Well, what you do is you just count down to 50. and you load
Hang out,
up that
keep drinking
queen.
the booze
So
and
the
just
first,
wait.
49 cards come out. You now have the deck up here, and you know that the 50 card is sitting right there. You now wait. None of you hit. You all bet $10,000, and you know that the dealer, if he needs to take a card, is going to get that
He's
queen,
gonna bust.
and he's going to bust. So you've just effectively busted the dealer. You don't know he's going to bust. You actually actively busted him. So all of you win, and you can win as much as $60,000 in a single hand.
So all the cards, all the time, you're waiting for that one hand,
Right,
and
you're
it's
betting
going to
the
pay
minimum.
off.
You're betting $10 a hand, so you don't really care about those other hands. You care about that one hand, that one round where he's going to bust and you're all going to win.
It's great. I got to tell you, like not even just to learn the 3 tips, which I'll never actually be able to use in a real scenario, but just for the tales of what happens to the crew that does it. It's such a fascinating read.
Thank
Ben.
you so much.
Thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you.
And
Thanks
for
having
sharing
me.
the tips as
Awesome.
well.
Thank you.
We'll be waiting out back with Ice Picks.
Yeah,
by the
okay.
way,
I'm gonna
for all
run.
your cheating. We actually were waiting out back with Ice Picks, by the way, and he left a nice trail of blood to his Datsun. It's interesting, the Busting Vegas, because it really is all about playing for 25 minutes, literally hoping and waiting for that one hand. But when you get it, you know, you can make upwards of, I don't know, $300,000 to $500,000 all in a fell swoop. Ben, not so much. He was later actually found scamming our interns at 3-card money. So apparently the whole cutting the dealer to the 50 card, not working out for him. But what's working out for me is a second wind of beer and a wardrobe change. That's what I've got in store. But you need to stick around because we've got animators and other weirdos aplenty on the way.
Attack of the show, baby. Attack.
Welcome back to Attack of the Underground. I look back at the guests who really couldn't quite fit neatly into any other best of shows. Like animator Aaron Augenblick, you know, any guy who has shorties watching shorties and wonder shows and on his resume, well, you know what? He's our personal hero. All right, let's say you need an animator for your show, but you want the kind of guy who thinks it's funny to draw a Johnny Quest-style dog eating a woman's stomach open to help her deliver a baby while skydiving. Well, believe it or not, Aaron Augenblick is your guy. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
be
coming
here.
on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have to come right out of the box swinging, and I apologize with the
Okay.
hard-hitting question here.
Right.
Mighty Mouse or Richie Rich? Who's winning?
Versus
Yeah, oh
the
yeah.
two of them.
Oh yeah.
Richie Rich has the money, but I would say Mighty Mouse has the pure bulk and muscle, I think, in a
Sorry.
fight.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. All right,
Thank
so
you.
you're off the hook there. Augenblick Studios, animation studio based out of New York. How did that
Brooklyn.
thing get started there?
I used to work for MTV Animation. I left MTV around '99.
They're the television network, right?
They're a
The-
television
okay,
network. It's
okay.
a small network. You probably don't know.
Lots
Not-
of animation.
Not a lot
though.
of people have it. And then I started my own studio, so we could sort of do some more like independent, like weird stuff that I'd wanted to do, and at the same time, sort of do a lot of freelance stuff along the way.
Now, your studio is solely deals with Flash animation, correct?
Somewhat. I mean, we started out as a traditional studio.
You did?
Yeah, I mean, I got my start, you know, sitting in a hot box and a camera, shooting cells and the whole thing, and hated it,
Right.
and then ended
Really,
up doing
I see.
stuff
I
more digital.
enjoy a good hot box every now and then.
Good
I
hot
don't
box
mind it.
can be really, really wonderful.
Chills it out, mellows it down
It
a
is
bit.
kind of nice.
But yeah, you went from traditional animation into the
Pretty critical of the fact that we were doing stuff in Flash, especially in its infancy when we were first doing it. I mean, there was so much crap being made in Flash.
It was all Shock the Monkey banner ads and no actual art.
There was
and-
all that stuff in blenders. A lot of things in blenders
Yes.
was around. But I mean, what I like about Flash that's sort of good, I mean, and bad, is that anyone, like a housewife in Nebraska, can make a cartoon.
Right.
You know, and animators hate that because animators like to be able to have sort of their own proprietary system.
Sure, but you're not concerned with traditional animators losing their jobs or their gigs necessarily over the Flash animation revolution, right? You still think that it takes a traditional animator to make good Flash? Is that true?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. I always look for traditional people. I mean, I don't necessarily gravitate towards people who have only ever done Flash, because personally, the stuff I like is traditional classic animation. So I don't mean to sort of burn traditional animators, because that's where the good stuff is. But what we try to do is sort of apply traditional methods to the newest techniques, and that mostly being Flash.
All right. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with your work, and some may not even know it because they've seen it on a little show called Wonder Shozen on MTV2. How did that partnership come about? How did you start working with those guys?
Well, I had seen like the initial bootleg pilot they had done like a year before.
Yeah, it was floating around the internet.
Yeah, it floated around, and I had seen it and been like, wow, this is like the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And then at the time I was doing a show called Shorties Watching Shorties for Comedy Central. You know, which has, you know, its good and bad side, that show. But I was doing that at the time, and then when that finished up, I got a call from John and Vernon because we had a mutual friend that thought we would sort of get along, and it worked out. I met them, and it was sort of a marriage made in heaven.
Now, did they come to you and say, well, here's what we want for a cartoon, and then you have to go animate it, or are you coming up with these shorts for them and saying, here's a dog delivering a baby while skydiving, it's funny, honestly?
They really don't do much.
They just kind of hang out?
Yeah, they're not really that talented.
All right.
But but it's like actually they do everything. They're like absolute geniuses. They write everything. They conceive of everything. They act everything.
Even the cartoon
they do
shorts
all the voices.
that you produce?
The shorts that they script them. They'll come to us with a script and an audio track and say, you know, this is sort of what we're going for with this. You know, like we want to do Johnny Quest style, but it's, you know, a dog performing a circumcision or whatever it is.
That's what's most interesting to me, I think, is that I watch the shorts and the Wonder shows, and the style is mimicked perfectly. And I wonder, is that really hard to do in Flash, to actually pull off, you know, a look, you know, that's long gone, that sense, you know?
I don't think so. I mean, I really don't. I mean, that's sort of like what's really exciting about doing the Wonder shows and stuff, is like going back, looking at these like old cartoons, you know, especially ones that you like. It's really interesting to look at an old cartoon that I liked a lot, like G.I. Joe, you know, which like at the time was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen. You go back and look and realize like that it's pure garbage, you know what I mean? And it's like you get into that stuff where you sort of analyze like what they were doing, whether it was good or mostly like very badly, and like sort of try to tear that apart and recreate it using, you know, Flash, you know, to do those things. And it's not that hard. It's surprisingly not that hard to do it. I mean, it just takes, you know, a lot of like critical eye.
Right. Now, not too long ago, Disney dumped, you know, the kind of traditional 2D animation. They're kind of focusing all on 3D. Do you think that has any indication that 2D animation might be gone, or is your studio just another example of how that's a completely false
I give
statement?
us 2 months.
Yeah, and then
we're
you're
out.
done. You're screwed out of a job, and
yeah.
there you go.
Then it's like I'm a wino. That's it. No, I think that you know, Disney, they do the 3D stuff, and you know, I like 2D. You know, I like personally, like you couldn't pay me to go see like Madagascar or like one of those movies. I mean, I'm not really into that stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. You know, obviously I'm sort of in the minority about like animation in general, but like I like the old stuff. You know, I like doing this kind of classic stuff. So I like doing 2D, and it's sort of the situation now seems to be that the television stuff seems to be more 2D successful, and the movies seem to be more successful with 3D. So,
well, you've definitely been successful on the TV front, and we can't thank you enough. And we hope you keep producing it, Aaron. Thanks for coming on the show. All right, so right there on the couch, clearly Aaron had me beat with his stylish do. But what you didn't see was the You Got Served style hairstyle showdown that we had in the parking lot minutes after the interview. There were tubs of LA Look styling gel, cans of Aquanet. It got a little nasty, and I won, obviously, because I whipped out one of these bad boys, and it's stuck ever since. What can I say? I'm a pro. Now, I don't know what I admired more. Was it his talent or his style? I'm going to go with his talent, especially after the hairstyle showdown. All right, Hepcats, I know you like the fast cars and the hot women, so stick around, because we'll kill both those birds with one tiny little stone next. All right, so there's this guy, Brooke Burgess, and he had an animated DVD comic book called Broken Saints. Now, it was dark and it was twisted, and it detoured away from the mainstream a long time ago.
The Father sent schools to consume me. They defy all reason. And he is deaf to my pleas. I beg of you, tell me why. Please.
Now, this creation of yours isn't really, it's not a comic book.
Nope.
It's not an animated web series.
No.
What is it? Why is it different than all the other stuff going on?
The term that bubbled up was cinematic literature, and I think the birth of that came from the fact that old school comic books, when they tried to mature, wanted to call themselves graphic novels, and instead of being just a flash comic online, or like you said, just a click-through thing online, people were trying to define it. It's like, well, it has cinematic sensibilities. It tells a story linearly like a film.
Yeah.
But it also is very literate. It's very mature and it's very intelligent. We wanted to get that across with the moniker for it. So cinematic literature was born.
Cinematic literature. Now, for those of us who aren't as familiar with the series, give me a little background. There's a lot going on.
Oh, there is a lot going on. It's a 12-hour epic, right?
Yeah.
It's 24 parts, 57 acts built together over a long chronology. But the basic story is that 4 strangers from different cultural and religious backgrounds from the quiet corners of the globe get the same harrowing vision of the end of the world, of the apocalypse.
Okay.
And they're somehow drawn to the same city in the Pacific Northwest where their fates are intertwined and tied to a global satellite project and a plan to broadcast God to the world.
Yeah, how did this project start? You guys have been working on this for, what, about 4 years now?
Well, yeah, the online version started in January 2001, finished in July 2003, culminated in a win at Sundance Film Festival that year. And then we were approached by a Canadian grant body called Telephone Canada, who gave us $500,000 to revamp the entire series, 3 years of work in 9 months for the DVD set.
Now, how many people are working on Broken Saints?
It started off with just 3 of us in a basement, living on noodles daily for 3 years. Also, my composer cousin helped out on the side as a contractor from Berlin, Germany. And we were based in Vancouver, Canada. But after we completed the online series and Telefilm said, hey, here's a budget, here's all the things you want to do to it, go crazy, we had to do it in 9 months. The team of 3 expanded to 60 plus 40 voiceover actors.
Wow.
So basically a team of 100.
And now, I read somewhere on your website that you said, in part, you created Broken Saints to give the comic book world a wake-up call. What does that mean?
I think that back in the 90s, any comic book fans would agree that things were getting more about surface and marketing. It was about, okay, what Chrome covers can we have? What collectability do we have? They didn't care about the characters. Spider-Man is a clone and this and that. It just made no sense. And I was moved by the works like Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns and Neil Gaiman's Sandman, Alan Moore's Watchmen. Now that's a piece of work. And because these things speak to us spiritually and politically and socially, any piece of art speaks to you and makes you reevaluate your life and your place in the world. And so this was my version of a wake-up call, saying, hey, here's 3 guys working on this for free who have something to say and can touch people anywhere. They are not limited by the avenue of distribution whatsoever. This is the global phenomenon.
That's an amazing approach. You don't hear that very often. You have a clip with you today. What are we going to look at?
Okay, well, we're going to see one of the characters, Kamimura, the Buddhist priest from the series, and he is meditating on the loss of his temple that was burned down. He knows that there's something nefarious involved. And as he meditates, he gets trapped in a vision of this city being destroyed, and a dark force speaks to him about what's really happening behind it all.
Heavy stuff. Let's take a look.
You seek me, priest. I have what you desire. The keys to Nirvana. But you must bring me the free. The threat to unity. They will not perish in flames. They will be reclaimed by another. A child like yourself, so small and helpless. A shard in a broken kingdom. A speck. Adrift in a sea of nothingness.
It looks great. Obviously, your heart's in the right place. How are you going to make money off of this project?
Yes, the revenue model. Well,
what's going on? Are you getting rich here, Brooke?
Not yet. That was never the plan, but the parents keep going, so someday maybe you left EA as a game producer, you can actually make some money, tour around the world. Well, the DVD's finished. It's a 4-disc deluxe set. We're negotiating with 3 major studios to do a global retail release.
Wow.
Mobile, broadcasting, on on-demand, pay-per-view, all that nifty stuff. Also in discussions with studios and networks regarding a live-action miniseries version, which was always my dream.
Sure.
And also going down for a second series of pitches to 3 major publishers for a game version next month.
Well, it's very exciting stuff. And it seems like, I mean, when you watch it online, you think, I could see this on television. I could see this as a comic book. You can see a bunch of different mediums that it could transform into.
Definitely.
And it sounds like people are interested.
Well, people can just go to the website and check out the original Flash version. They can purchase the DVD version and get in touch with us because we respond to every single mail we get.
All right, Brooke, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Broken Saints, well, Broken Saints kind of creep me out, to be honest, but in a good way. A good kind of creeped out. Like, you know, when your uncle installs wood paneling in his breakfast nook and then sends you an Evite for Twister. I know you have a restless spirit, but rein it in, folks. More notes from the underground are coming up next. Welcome back to Attack of the Underground, our collection of cult figures, genre benders, and other indefinable guests. Like Nicole Lyons, okay? She's the woman who put the hot chick in the fast car. What? I'm not even supposed to be working today, all right? Just give me a break. Nicole Lyons has been racing cars most of her life and tearing up the National Hot Rod Association circuit. And, oh, by the way, she also owns and operates her own muscle car engine and restoration shop. Take that, Jesse James! I'm going to get beat with a lead pipe now, aren't I, for saying that? Probably.
No, that's okay.
Okay, good.
I won't beat you.
Good. Nicole, welcome to the show. It's Jesse I'm worried about, but...
yeah.
But fair enough. I appreciate that. No violence
I am
today.
a black belt, too, but...
What else? Anything else? Skydiving, surfing,
No.
Culinary arts?
No.
Nothing? All right.
Nothing else.
Let me tell you, your inspiration for this, I'm assuming it's Dear Old Daddy, right?
Yes, it is, definitely.
Tell me about your father. I'm curious.
My dad, I have to say, he was just a wonderful guy. I'm really the ultimate hustler, if there was one. He was that.
Right.
He made it happen at all times, and he was a famed street racer. So he did his thing on the street, and I'm taking it to the track. So that's what kind of it came from. It came from him.
Right. And I've read stories. Jack Davis, father, had you strapped into the child safety seat in a hot rod at when?
At 2.
Yeah, exactly. Little baby helmet on, or no?
You know what? I don't think I had one on.
Why not? It's fine. He's
no,
good.
we're okay. We're at roll cage.
Were you sold right then, though? I'm assuming you weren't afraid of it, even at that young of an age.
He said I wasn't sold until completely till the end, and then I just screamed in delight and was like, "Come on, Daddy, can we go again?" And he was
awesome.
like, "All right."
So how long did you have to wait until you actually got behind the wheel again and actually got to do it for yourself?
Well, he had me behind the wheel at 7. So I really didn't have to wait too long.
That's great.
But that's when I started driving. So
what was your first car? What did you actually take out there?
First car I had was a 69 GTO.
Classic.
And yes, it was. It had only 48,000 original miles on it. So it was pretty rare, and that's kind of what I learned in. But other than that, I mean, I did a little things on the street with my dad's cars, not to give street racing, a lot of glory, but
sure.
We did our thing very early, I should say.
Well, good,
about
good.
15, I was out there on the street. So
now, and it's not just you're not just behind the wheel. You can also work under the hood, I'm told.
Yes, I can. I do everything from complete auto restoration on muscle cars to building actual race and high performance engines. So
and I hate to ask the cliche question, but I kind of have to. I mean, because it's important. As a female in that industry, do you get treated differently? Do the guys do they josh you? Do they believe that you couldn't possibly know how to operate a wrench? Or
well, most of them don't think that my car is what it is until they hear it fire up. Once they hear it fire up, they know, okay, this girl's got to be serious,
right.
Or, something, or it's a lot of muffler underneath that car.
Sure.
So they pretty much give me my respect after I go down the track.
So now, we're talking about going down the track, we're seeing your car here. I heard it was pro stock, so I figured, okay, this car only turns left. This has got to be like stock racing. It's a little bit different than that, correct?
Well, what we're going after is pro stock, which it still resembles a car like how mine looks, like a Firebird and everything like that, except this will look like a Cobalt. But to you out there, it probably wouldn't look like a Cobalt.
Right.
But that's the whole pro stock thing, is that kind of, setup. It still looks like a car to the audience.
Nicole, thank you for bringing her out.
Oh, no problem.
We
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
What's her name? What do we call her?
I actually don't want to say what I call her because I don't think I could say that on television.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. Let's keep it. Let's not.
My B kind of
Fair enough.
stuff.
Fair enough. And what is this? I mean, I'm assuming this isn't the same kind of Firebird that we find on Craigslist or eBay Autos.
No, it's not. The only thing that's stock is up here, like the control arms of the car, but this is a 900 horsepower motor, and of course that's not stock. Firebirds back in this year came with a 400.
Not a Sunday driver to the supermarket. A little bit different.
Definitely not. Not with a spool in the back. It's definitely not.
I've been told that this isn't the only engine you have for this car.
No, we run 2 motors, depending on what class we're trying to run, but right now this motor has taken us to every single class we wanted to go.
That's great.
So we have this one, which is 900, and we have an 1100 horsepower just sitting there for backup.
Now, why on earth would you run the lesser of the 2 motors then? Why not run the 1100?
Well, we ran into a bit of a problem. We are going too fast for the classes that we run. We run Super Comp, which is an 8-second bracket. We run Super Gas, 9-second, and also Super Street, which is a 10. And we just have to slow her down for those already, so there's no need to put that higher horsepower and slow her down even more.
Right. So now, how do you actually slow an engine down? I mean, do you just leave your foot off the gas a little bit? I mean,
no.
Something that's more technical.
It is. This right here is a Diedenbar throttle stop system, and that runs off of a CO2 bottle, which will actually work with the carburetor in slowing this car down.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, it's kind of bad, but you know what? You know, I like to run them full out, but NHRA doesn't have a bracket for what this car will actually run full out, so we have to comply and do our thing.
So the lights go green. You're literally, you gas it, and it just shuts it down for a few seconds to give the other guy a chance?
We can program it to shut it down wherever we want in the quarter mile, but how we work it is as soon as we reach our 60 foot when we leave, and green comes down, 60 foot comes on, it shuts it down for about 3 seconds right there. The car's still semi-rolling, but then it picks up full throttle right after that, and that's when you have to hold on.
And what are you, let's say, you probably can't even measure it that well, but 0 to 60, what are you thinking?
1 second.
Yeah, all right, all right.
Something like that.
Puts my little Subaru to shame a bit, but that's okay. I still love my baby. Now, one of the interesting things was the electronic box for this auto control is inside.
Yes, it is.
And that's not it. When it comes to turning on the car, there's about 1,000 other little switches and knobs and other things.
Oh, yeah, right? Definitely.
Do you mind giving us a little showcase?
No, no problem.
And by the way, I should let everybody at home know, I couldn't get into the car earlier. I couldn't even get that far.
He doesn't dance very well.
That close to driving it, but...
Anyways,
all right, so what's the process here?
Well, what you're looking at here, this is actually what's going to control the throttle stop.
Okay.
But the process of actually starting this car up is you'll actually hit the ignition right here. You'll turn another dual ignition, which is right here.
The classic key, which is classic.
Which is classic, exactly. What you'll do is you'll give it a squeeze here of your fuel pump.
Right.
Right.
And there was a safety switch in the back as well, right?
Yeah.
Just in case all hell really does break loose.
Exactly. Officials can run out and turn that off. It'll shut the whole car down.
Very nice.
And then we'll start it up. So if you're ready for that.
You know what? Let me, I have a feeling it might get a little loud, right?
It's going to get a little loud, trust me.
Let me let everybody know to keep tabs on Nicole Lyons. Just go ahead and visit ColeMuscleCars.com. Now that that's out of the way, I figure let's go ahead and get her going.
All right, let's start her on up.
Yeah, you know it's loud when the mics just give up. They don't know what to do. They just shut down. And I've never been more turned on or more emasculated at the same time. Yeah, I probably have, actually, now that I think about it. There is still more underground to excavate, so don't remove your helmet lights just yet. More Shadow Dwellers coming up next. When the documentary Murder Ball about ultra-violent wheelchair rugby came out, we said, man, we've got to find out what makes these guys tick. So that's pretty much what we did.
Saying that Murder Ball is a documentary about a rough sport is like saying that the Weekly World News stretches the truth a little bit, if you know what I mean. In fact, the movie is a pretty brutal look at the game of quad rugby. And here to tell us more is athlete and one of the film stars, Andy Cohen. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
I saw the movie, as I mentioned, last Friday, and it was wonderful. I recommend it to everybody. So let's get started first on quad rugby. Murder Ball, quad rugby, same thing. But it's really quad rugby, right?
Yeah.
Murder Ball's just sort of a...
Yeah, it was... Actually, we started the game, we called it Murder Ball, but it's hard to get a lot of corporate sponsorship or new patients out of hospitals, and you're like, hey, would you like to come play Murder Ball? Right. Quad rugby went over a little easier.
Yeah, Pepsi's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, so the official name is quad rugby, but the guys who play it call it Murder Ball.
Oh, yeah, now, you were part of the U.S. Paralympics team, went and competed in Athens. How did you get involved in that?
I started playing I grew up in Phoenix. I played for a Phoenix team, and it's kind of like competitive soccer where when there's a U.S. competition, they'll pick a USA team, and players from all over the states will compete, and they pick 12 players to go and represent the USA.
Wow. So did someone approach you and say, we think you got what it takes?
I got an invite from the coach at the time and tried out for the team and made it. In 2002 was the first time I made a USA team, and then Athens was the biggest thing in 2004 at the Paralympics.
That's amazing. So now you actually are in your quad rugby chair now.
Yes, I am.
Which is, if you look at it closely, I mean, this thing's been banged up quite a bit. What's going on here, and how is it different from a regular wheelchair?
Well, I mean, when you kind of look at it, you can tell it's just got metal all around, and that's because it is a full contact sport, as the movie shows.
Yes.
Even the wheels got, they put these spoke protectors over it, so because it's full contact anywhere on the chair.
Right.
Even have it in the back. They have little bumpers here, and it's just made to hit somebody as hard as you can, because the game has got goals on each end of a basketball court, and you have to take the ball, which is just basically a volleyball. It's got a little tackiness on it, and cross the line with the ball to score a goal. And the best way to stop somebody is hit them as hard as you can.
Now, and also, there's glue involved with your gloves, and that's so you can catch the ball more easily?
It's kind of like a receiver in football. You put like a little tack on your gloves, and you can see I use like rubberized gloves, just because it gives me a little bit better grip on the ball, things like that on the wheels.
So now the film Murderball. It's a documentary. It's totally true to life. How was it being followed around and interviewed and all that stuff?
It was really not that big a deal because they followed us for 2.5 years, and I started to think that there probably wasn't even film in the camera,
right?
Because I didn't see anything for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, if this actually does become a movie, nobody's ever going to see it. And now it's a little bizarre that so many people have seen it. But I'm so happy that everybody likes it, and it is a really good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Everybody who sees it walks out of there or rolls out of there or whatever, 2 hours of my life back. But people have really enjoyed it.
Right, and I'm sure that you guys feel good that there wasn't any exploitation involved at all. It's really just sort of a look at a slice of life.
Well, it's not cheesy. Every time you see in the media somebody in a wheelchair doing something, it's always either focuses on what they can't do, or it's just totally cheesy and melodramatic, and it's the guy whining and struggling.
Right.
And in all honesty, our lives are pretty normal. They're not a struggle, and the movie does a good job of just showing us living our lives.
Now, do you ever worry, when I was watching the movie, I mean, the contact involved, I mean, you guys are falling on your heads, I mean, it gets crazy. Do you ever worry? I mean, you're not wearing helmets here. If something were to happen, you're really screwed.
There's kind of a joke that, like, what's going to happen? Are we going to break our necks again?
Right.
So we're just kind of guys. Before I got hurt, I played high school football, and I'd go out with my friends on the weekend, and we'd go in a park and play tackle football. And just because I had the accident, I still miss that kind of aspect of my life. And this is a competitive, aggressive sport that gives me, that desire to still play that sport's there, and the sport's so great about that.
That's awesome. Well, we've seen a few underneath where we're talking. We've seen a little bit of video, but let's actually take a look at a clip from the film so you get a better idea of what Murderball is all about. Now to do another Paralympics adventure.
To play at this level, I kind of have to always be in shape.
Yeah.
So I'm just constantly cross-training, do a lot of weightlifting, swimming, I have a hand bike. And I love to just get my rugby chair and just push around the neighborhood, listening to music, stuff like that. So just trying to stay in shape and hopefully keep playing for the USA for as long as I can.
And when will you, if you are selected, when will be the next big year?
Our sport is similar to basketball in that it has the World Championships every 4 years, and then we have the Paralympics every 4 years. So the next World Championships would be 2006 in New Zealand, and Paralympics would be 2008 in Beijing.
Well, I hope we see you again.
I hope you do too.
Yeah, that guy right there is about 1,000 times tougher than I'll ever be. In fact, to prove it, he knocked me out of my office chair and then spat in my eye when I was crying. It's okay. I've come to terms with that. Now, you stick around. We've got improv all-star Charlie Todd coming up. So take the commercial break, come up with the name of a dead president, a favorite color, and the name of a favorite cable television darling. He's going to work magic with it. I promise. You'll see. Welcome back to Attack of the Underground, a gallery of guests from the outer reaches. Like Charlie Todd, he's your average, everyday New Yorker. He likes taking long walks and eating good bagels and riding the subway in his underwear.
Now, wouldn't your morning commute be so much more interesting if you thought someone might just suddenly burst into song, something like that? Well, Improv Everywhere is doing their best to make something just like that happen on a regular basis. Their ringleader, Charlie Todd, is here to explain their missions. Welcome to the show, Charlie.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Now, we've been reading a lot about Improv Everywhere. They've kind of, you guys have getting some press lately. You've been named Hot Pranksters by Rolling Stone magazine, and this very magazine, VH1, also named your U2 prank one of the 40 greatest pranks ever, which is pretty prestigious.
Yeah.
Pranksters have been around for quite a while.
That's true,
You know? So let's talk about this U2 prank. What exactly did you guys do?
Well, I live on 8th Avenue in Manhattan, across the street from Madison Square Garden. So this past May, U2 was playing at the Garden at 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. I live in a 4-story apartment building, and I have access to my roof, and U2 is famous for playing on roofs.
Yes, they've been doing that since, the old videos, they did that.
Yeah, they did it out here in L.A. in 1987. They played on the roof for the Where the Streets Have No Name video.
Exactly.
Got shut down by the cops, filmed it for the video. So I wanted to recreate that moment. So I have 4 friends. My roommate, Chris, is a drummer. So he has his friend Terry, and his friend Dan, and his friend Ptolemy. They're all in a cover band together. So we got them together, dressed them up just like U2 with wigs and sunglasses and leather jackets.
You went up to the top of your roof.
Went up to the roof an hour before they played at the Garden. And I bought a PA system for this.
So the point is to make everyone think that this is actually U2 doing some surprise, like, here's a free concert before a real concert.
And just about a year ago in New York, they went through 5th Avenue in a flatbed truck. So it's the kind of thing that they would do.
People would. So did people buy it? What was there mayhem?
Yeah,
what happened?
There was mayhem. It was great. So they played about 5 songs, and I had a bunch of people from my mailing list who were in on it. So maybe like 70 people were in on it, and they showed up at that location, like running down the street screaming, U2's on the roof, oh my God, they're setting up, they're about to play. And by the end of the 30-minute concert, there were 300 people on the street there, blocking traffic. People were getting out of cabs. There were people on balconies and rooftops all around. Basically, it looked just like the Where the Streets Have No Name video looked.
So that particular prank, a lot of effort was put into it. A lot of people were needed. You have some other pranks that are similarly strange, but require maybe a little bit less of a, I guess, less effort. One of your Megastore prank is another one that people is pretty well known. Tell me a little bit about that one.
Okay, I did the Virgin Megastore prank a couple of years ago. My friend Mark Lee actually helped me come up with it, and they have a Megastore in Union Square in Manhattan.
Sure.
And it's got
a real big store.
40 listening stations, and they're numbered 1 through 40. So I had 40 people take over the listening stations, and that's me right there. I gave a signal, and as you can see, the first thing they do is they all just turned around and looked straight out. And that freaked everybody out. And then for the second phase of it, they did a coordinated dance. My buddy Ken choreographed it in the park, and together all 40 people danced.
And this is just the sort of thing that regular people who are in the store are just going to freak out about.
Yeah.
Because they don't expect it, they don't know what you're doing, they don't know if it's good or bad.
Actually, the regular people just laughed and saw, this is hilarious, 40 people dancing together. The management, not so much. They actually cut off the power to the listening stations.
Whoa.
Under the theory that if we weren't listening to music, we were loitering and could be arrested for loitering.
And then did the dancing just continue?
Yeah, it continued.
Because that was what you did?
Yeah.
That was what had been decided?
Exactly.
I mean, what are you guys going for? Are you trying to make people laugh? Are you trying to scare people? What are the reactions?
We're trying to make people laugh. We're trying to make people smile. And I guess what's different about the pranks that I do from maybe pranks that you've seen on television is it's not about humiliating somebody or embarrassing somebody. It's about giving somebody a great story to tell.
Sure.
Like,
you wouldn't believe what I saw at the Megastore today.
I was in the Megastore,
so weird.
40 people all of a sudden turned around and did a dance, and then they disappeared.
So these pranks need a bunch of people to participate. You guys think of yourself as sort of a flash mob? Are you a comedy troupe? Do you require formal training to participate?
Well, it started just being myself and the 3 friends I knew in New York, going out and getting drunk in bars and doing silly things. And then I started taking classes at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, which is in New York City, and also now out here in Los Angeles as well. And through the theater, I met all of these awesome people. So I have a lot of collaborators. Actually, Sean Hart, who I think you know, who was on Attack of the Show for a while.
We know Sean Hart.
He's a UCB performer, and he's part of my troupe. So now it's a couple of hundred people that I know through UCB, and then since all of this media attention, my list has gotten bigger. I've got about 1,500 people on my New York City mailing list right now.
Wow. So you have more people than you even need for any particular prank. One prank I want to talk about, it's very well known. You did it a couple years ago. The Starbucks prank.
Yes.
Tell the folks out there about what you guys did at Starbucks.
Well, I got 7 actors to recreate time. Recreate a 5-minute chunk of time 12 times in a row for an hour. So I entered the restaurant with my girlfriend at the time, and we got into a little bit of an argument, and we stormed out, and she runs out, and I yell, "Katie, come back!" And then 2 minutes later, we come back, and we get in line again, and get into the same argument.
And then after you guys leave, someone's cell phone rings, and someone spills his coffee, and so it's like anybody who's sort of paying a little bit of attention starts to go, oh, wait, what's going on?
It was this coordinated thing. Like, we would run out in that argument, somebody would sneeze, my friend Anthony would trip, and then the kicker was my friend Ken would come through with a boombox playing Shiny Happy People and just walk through the Starbucks. And everything triggered it. You know, like when my friend Flynn's cell phone rang, that was the cue for my friend Porter to spill his drink. So it was all like coordinated like that. And the first 3 or 4 times we did it, nobody noticed. But once we had repeated time 7 times in a row.
He's yelling for Katie again. Something's off.
Yeah, at first people were just like, if I was him, I would break up with that girl because they're not getting along today. But by like the 8th time, everybody was like,
there's that boombox again. This is just bizarre. So you got the reaction that you were looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
People notice. So you have an upcoming DVD, actually?
Yeah, I'm working with an editor right now on kind of an underground DVD that I'm just going to put out on my website. So hopefully within a few months it's going to be ready because all these pranks I've done for the last 4 years, I've filmed them.
They've been documented, and it's good. Yeah, people want to see it. Real quick, what's your next mission going to be?
My next mission will be the 5th annual No Pants subway ride in New York City.
Very nice.
So every
Are we
January.
talking no pants and no...
We wear underwear.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shoot. Too bad.
So yeah, we're going to take over the 6 train and get probably hundreds of people to enter the same car with their pants off.
Great. So. The 5th annual. It's well known.
Yeah, I've been doing it since 2002. So
all right,
it should be fun.
Well, best of luck with all of your pranks. It sounds
sounds
like we got to do something like that on this show.
Yeah, well, let me know.
Help
I'll come out.
Teach us.
I'll come out and prank with you guys.
The Improv. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show.
You bet.
You can also head on over to improveverywhere.com where they've documented over 50 missions, tons of pictures, tons of videos, play-by-play from all of the agents involved. It's a good time.
Oddly enough, I just completed my first annual Naked Bart ride up in the Bay Area, and sadly there won't be a second annual one. I'm sorry to all the police officers involved with that. I have to say, though, I was relieved he didn't ask me to suggest an occupation in a scenario. I'm normally allergic to improv. It's a good thing you aren't, Cappers. Plant it! I'll be answering your Outer Limits questions pronto.
Attack of the show, baby. Attack.
So there's this invention called the internet, and it allows people to log on and go to our forums, which are like a big chat room, but not real time. And you can type questions, which we can read and then answer, like this one. G4 Chaos Theory asks, did Nicole Lyons make you feel at all emasculized? Emasculized? Really? Because I Googled it, and I went to the wiki, and I put in the emasculized, spelt the exact same way that you did, and apparently not a real word, and therefore couldn't be a real emotion. And so no, she didn't make me feel that way. KP June asks, when you did the Guitar Hero segment, did you plan on smashing your guitar, or was it just something that you thought of on the spot? Well, I'd like to think that I'm quick-witted and came up with that on the fly. I did not. I actually asked the producer, would it be cool if I unplugged it, break the guitar to be cool, like a rock star finish? The answer was yes, but what I didn't expect was for Alex, the CEO of Harmonix, to get in on the action and therefore break my second guitar, the one I was planning on playing when I went home that night. I still shed a tear. Nefetz wants to know, what was Sean Baby like? Did you two get along as friends, or do you still talk with each other? We don't talk since the accident, unfortunately. But once his eye settles back into place, I think he's going to forgive me, and maybe he'll stop being a giant jack. Jordan Haas wants to know, what kind of yogurt is your favorite? That is an excellent question, my friend, and one I don't get often enough. I am a fan of any variety of Go-Gurt because it's portable and extreme, and that's all you need to know. We are finished here! I hope your eyes have been opened, your mind expanded, and your surplus snacks consumed. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Computers on Attack of the Show provided by Intel. Game on. Power up. Take control with the Intel Pentium Processor Extreme Edition.